I didn't realize I was alone until I tried to speak and the room gave my voice back to me untouched. We slept in the same bed. We brushed our teeth at the same sink. Our reflections learning the choreography of two people who knew where the other would reach for the towel. We paid the mortgage, signed the cards, sent the flowers, smiled for the camera at weddings and baptisms, and the sort of birthdays that need a zero to be taken seriously. People said we were solid. People said we were lucky. People said we were the kind of couple that lasts. Maybe they were right. We lasted. But lasting is not the same as living. There is a way a body can make room for another body and still never be held. There is a way a man can kiss your cheek at 10:07 every night and never learn the language of your 10:06, what you were thinking right before the kiss came. What you were reaching for in that inch between light and dark. I didn't blame him, not then. Blame is a storm and we were a drought. We learned silence the way some families learn music by ear, by imitation, by survival. His father didn't say much. Mine said too much and none of it landed gently. So we made a house where the volume stayed low and the plates were never slammed into the rack. And apologies arrived already folded, with a ribbon, as if grief were a gift to be exchanged without a contact. When people asked how we were, I answered for us both. We're good, busy. He would nod, grateful to be spared the part with edges. At night, the bed was a country with a border. We slept on our sides, back to back. Our shoulders like two continents that used to touch if you go back far enough on the map. Sometimes, half asleep, he'd find my hand. He'd hold it like a handle, something to steady himself by, and then let go. Not cruelly. Just enough to remind me I was a railing, not a person. In the morning, I cooked the kind of breakfast that proves a house is still a house: eggs, toast, coffee that knew our names. He'd kiss my forehead and say, "What would I do without you?" The way people say, "What's the weather?" as if the question didn't require an answer. One November I lost my voice for 3 days. The doctor said it was a virus. I wrote requests on sticky notes and held them up like little flags. "Tea, please. Could you call the plumber? Hey, I miss you?" He brought tea. He called the plumber. He smiled at the third note and kissed my temple. He did not sit down. He did not ask what the missing felt like. By the time my voice returned, I had learned the lesson it was trying to teach me. Even when I could speak, I was not being heard. So I began measuring my life in small survivals. How many quiet dinners can a person swallow before the hunger becomes permanent? How many times can you be fine before the word dries out in your mouth and dust your tongue with a taste that isn't yours? I tried to tell him once. We were in bed, the room doing that soft breathing houses do when the heater takes a rest. I said, "I'm lonely next to you." I said it without accusation, like a weather report. He pulled me close, obliging, good, and said, "I'm right here." He fell asleep holding me the way a man holds a trophy. Proof of something. Not a prayer for it. The next day he brought flowers, sunflowers, cheerful to the point of denial. To brighten the place up, he said. The place was bright. I was a part that needed light. Years have a way of hardening around a shape. We were the ring of routine smooth. Holidays, family visits, photos on the wall of us in places where the world pretends time doesn't pass. I watched myself smiling and wondered when the camera had learned to lie kinder than we did. When his mother got sick, I took her to appointments. I learned the names of the pills, the timing of the naps, the way her face remembered sweetness when the rest of her couldn't. He thanked me with the reverence of a man grateful for a competent nurse. I wanted to be thanked like a wife. On her last good day, she took my hand and held it like a secret. "He's quiet," she said of her son. It wasn't a warning. It was an inheritance. "You'll have to listen harder than you want to." She meant well. I had already worn my ears to the bone. When she passed, the house fell into a new quiet, the kind that remembers a voice and checks the doorway out of habit. Grief made him smaller. He slept closer, as if the border had shifted. I thought, maybe this is our opening. Maybe now he will want a life with windows, the kind you open on purpose. Even in winter. We tried. Or rather, I tried and he said yes. Counseling, walks without phones. A rule about answering the real question, not the easy one. For a while, it worked. The way a good bandage works, the wound breathes, the skin lies still. You believe in the body's mercy. But tenderness without curiosity grows tired. He learned the phrases, "Tell me more," and "How did that feel?" like a language taught for travel, not for living. He spoke them well enough to order food and ask directions. He did not build a home in them. I love him. I'm not ashamed to say it. Love is not the issue. Presence is. The night I knew something had to change, it was raining. The kind of rain that persuades a city to confess its noises. We were in bed, backs almost touching, and I asked, "What do you think about when you turn away?" It's not a clever question. It's a door he could have walked through. He said, "Nothing really," in the tone that means, "Don't worry," but lands like, "Don't ask." Asterisk I stared at the ceiling and felt the weight of air. There are moments the heart stops negotiating. It just reports the truth. Mine said, "You are disappearing in a house where you are supposed to be seen." The next morning I made 2 coffees and drank both. I wrote a note and left it under his mug like a small, polite earthquake. "I am lonely in our bed. I don't want to be brave about it anymore." He read it before work. He stood there longer than men stand when they are about to say something they haven't practiced. He touched my shoulder. "We'll fix it," he said. He meant it. He always means it. Meaning is not the same as changing. I did not leave then. I did not threaten to. I did something quieter and harder. I moved into the middle of the bed. It sounds small. It isn't. I stopped sleeping at the edge, making room for a person who would not cross the border. I put my pillow where the weight of us was meant to go. When he turned away, he found the empty space beside him, not me already missing. The first night he woke and said, half amused, "You stole my spot, like we were children." I said, "I took my place like a woman learning her own name." He didn't reply. He didn't need to. The room heard it. I bought a lamp that was too warm and put it on my side. I read out loud sometimes, just a sentence, just enough to make the air practice carrying my voice. I tucked my feet under his when the sheets were cold and said, "I want you to notice me without asking for instructions." He pressed my ankle with his. "I'm trying," he said, and he was. Trying is not the finish line. It's just not quitting. Weeks passed. Some nights he stayed awake and asked a second question after the first, a third after the second, until we reached the place where answers don't tidy themselves. Some nights he rolled away, and the weather in the bed returned to drought. On those nights, I did a brave thing that is not glamorous. I slept anyway. I did not get up to clean the kitchen or wash the meaning out of the day. I let the loneliness sit, and I did not call it failure. I called it information. People think the opposite of loneliness is company. It isn't. The opposite of loneliness is witness. One evening in March thin light, a stubborn chill, we lay on our backs like 2 pilgrims considering the map. I said, "Will you hold me like you're here? Not like you're rescuing me. Not like sex owes us a miracle. Not like a duty. Like a rival." He turned and gathered me slowly, his hand on the back of my head, his chest a steady drum. We didn't speak. We didn't solve anything. We stayed. It was not fireworks. It was weather changing. Sometimes that's all a land needs to grow again. We started counting those nights. Not to keep score, to notice. 2 in a row, he would whisper and kiss my hair. 1 drought, I'd answer the next week, and he wouldn't defend himself. He would lay there, shame and love arguing softly. And he would choose love. On my birthday he asked what I wanted and I said, "A question you don't know the answer to." He laughed real. Surprised, Dan asked, "What breaks your heart that isn't me?" I told him about women who disappear to keep the peace. About a girl on the bus with the bravest posture. About a dog tied to a porch that rarely learned joy when a boy untied the rope. We were quiet after. Not empty, full. I cannot promise you are ending. Some stories don't want one. They prefer the honesty of continuing. We still sleep in the same bed. Some nights we share one country. Some nights we honor the border and wave across it with tired hands. I am not alone the way I was. Because even when loneliness visits, I do not disappear to keep it comfortable. If you are listening in your own bed, if you have learned the measurements of a person and still feel like a ghost in your life, hear me say this gently. You don't have to leave to stop being lonely. But you do have to arrive. Move your pillow. Turn on the warm lamp. Say the sentence the room can carry. Ask for a question that makes both of you new. And if the weather refuses to change, if the border holds, if the hands never learn your geography, then you will know without hatred what you tried to learn without hope. Loneliness next to someone is the loneliest kind. Choose witness, choose yourself, choose a life where your voice does not come back untouched. I sleep in the middle now, and when he reaches for me, he finds me there. Not a handle, not a trophy, not a railing. A person.